And we begin with this. The Health Minister, Dr. Joe Phaahla, continuing with his site visits and assessment of some of the facilities affected by the Nehawu strike. His department says the majority of hotspot facilities across the country have been accessible. However, clinical operations remain hamstrung by a low turnout of nursing and administrative staff. Now, Newzroom Afrika's Tumaole and he's here in Gauteng, watching the situation with the Gauteng facilities, also in KZN. Mohlaoli also watching the space there. Let's start with you, Tumaole. You're going to tell us exactly where you are and what the situation is where you are.
Well, Toli, this morning you find me at the Thelle Mogoerane Regional Hospital in Vosloorus. That's on, Gauteng's East Rand. And the situation here has been quite lively throughout the morning as members of Nehawu have been picketing just outside the hospital, raising their voices, making sure that they're heard, and making the demands very clear, saying that, of course, the working conditions as well as the issue of various issues, including overtime and pay, are really, really unsatisfactory. And they say that they have been trying to engage with the health department, and the responses that they have received have so far been unsatisfactory. So I'm just going to step out of shot quickly so that my colleague Mohlaoli can give you the shot. You can see that the group of Nehawu members here are health workers from this particular facility. They've been out here for the majority of the morning. They've been very loud and very, active, but they have not in any way been disruptive in any destructive kind of manner, and they have not been interfering with any of the healthcare professionals that have been making their way into the facility. By healthcare professionals that I've seen making their way into the facility, this would include some medical staff, of course, including some nurses and some doctors. They've been dropped off by buses. These members here have not been impeding those particular members in any way. Of course, there is a very strong police presence here, as well as a military presence. I must say, very, heavily armed military personnel also on site, supporting the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department members, as well as, of course, the SAPS members, even to the distance away, more closer towards the entrance of the hospital itself. You can see there that the various security officials are there standing in the middle of the road, keeping a close eye on that other entrance towards the hospital. So this hospital, the main gate has two roads that would lead into it. So you see police signalas are on hand, as well as, of course, the officers themselves certainly taking no chances and watching very closely what will happen. And they say that they will observe a zero-tolerance approach to any public disruptions or unlawlessness. So this is the situation as it is happening right now, Koli, right here from the Thelle Mogoerane Regional Hospital in Vosloorus.
All right, Tumaole, thank you very much. Live for us in Vosloorus there. Well, as we mentioned earlier, Mohlaoli watching the space in KwaZulu-Natal, where the health department has increased security at facilities around the province. Nehawu has vowed to intensify its strike in the meantime, and this is as the action enters the second week. Last week's industrial action was characterized by violence and intimidation. Newzroom Afrika's Mohlaoli joining us now from KwaMashu at a healthcare center there. Nobuhle, good morning to you. Paint the situation for us as to whether or not members of the public are able to receive the services that they desperately need.
A very good morning, Soli. So far, everything seems calm. You must remember that this particular healthcare center was one of those that was a hot spot in the province last week, where we saw a lot of clashes. But this morning, everything seems relatively calm. The members of the union are peacefully marching outside of the gates, and it doesn't seem as if they're blockading anyone. I'm going to move out of shot so maybe you can, understand what I'm saying to you. They're peacefully marching outside here, which is a completely different picture to what we saw last week when we were in Pietermaritzburg, and this was also identified as one of the hotspot healthcare facilities where there were a lot of clashes. But I also want to bring in the regional secretary of the eThekwini region for Nehawu and just speak to him firstly about last week, that march that they had where they handed over a memorandum of demands to the MEC of Finance in the province, Peggy Nkonyeni, listing a number of demands, and amongst those they mentioned the issue of the fact that they overworked, number one, and the working conditions, and also asking that those workers who were working during the COVID-19 pandemic also be absorbed into the system. I'll bring him in now and just speak to him about these issues. First, let's talk about that march that took place that we saw on Friday with your union. That I also saw a number of other unions that had joined in.
Thanks. Greetings to the viewers at home. No, that march also was very successful, and we were able to hand over our memorandum to the MEC. Part of the demands that were there in the memorandum was the issue of the high vacancy rates in the public service. As you would know, for a long time that the public service, there has been what we call a moratorium on the filling of vacant posts. So which means people who are resigning and people who are terminated are not being replaced. You will find that in the department where there used to be 10 or 8 people, now it's only 2 people that are working there, and they are highly overworked doing the work of more than 8 people. So that is what we are saying, that the public servants are not being treated fairly. They are overworked, underpaid, and undermined in the collective bargaining.
All right, and you've spoken about intensifying protest action this week. We know that this particular healthcare center was a hotspot last week. Speak to us about some of the other unions that have now joined in Nehawu strike action.
Yes, there has been a number of unions that have joined the strike action. I can mention SAPU and SAIPU, and there's also many others that have pledged solidarity with our strike, because we do understand that the struggle of workers in the public service and in general has no badge. It does not matter which union you are affiliated to. So that is what we are facing with. And this week, as we have had the leadership in the media briefing yesterday, we are going to intensify our action. And the leadership have spoken, and we will do as such. So what you saw last week were just showings. You are going to see the real strike that is going to take place this week.
Thank you very much. That is Prince Mthalane. I don't think I introduced him properly earlier. Prince Mthalane, who is the regional secretary of the eThekwini region for Nehawu, just speaking about the intensity of the strike as it enters week 2. Back to you, Xoli.
Thank you very much, Nobuhle Modisa, there live in KwaMashu.